My wife said, "You were nothing more than a co-parent, not my real match." So I became exactly that, detached, indifferent, unavailable. But when she finally noticed, it was already too late. It wasn't during an argument, there was no shouting, no accusations thrown across the room. Instead it was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that makes you realize something is about to change, and not in a way you'd ever wanted. We were in the kitchen, she was standing by the sink rinsing a plate, her voice calm, deliberate. "You're nothing more than a co-parent to me, not my real match." I wish I could say I didn't hear her, that the words didn't register at first, but I heard them clearly. There was no room for misinterpretation, no hint of regret or hesitation in her tone. It wasn't an emotional outburst, it was a statement, a decision, one she had likely made long before saying it out loud. For a second I just stood there, staring at the back of her head as she continued washing the plate like she had just informed me about the weather. There was no anger in her voice, no sadness, just attachment. I swallowed hard but my throat was dry. "So that's how you see me?" My own voice sounded foreign, like it belonged to someone else. She didn't turn around. "I think we both know this hasn't been a real marriage for a long time." There it was again, that calm, factual tone, as if she were talking about a mutual agreement. But this wasn't mutual, this wasn't something I had accepted, let alone acknowledged. I took a step closer, my hands resting on the edge of the counter. "And when did you decide this?" This time she finally turned to face me, drying her hands with a towel, her expression unreadable. "It's been obvious, hasn't it? We're good parents, but that's all we are. We don't connect like we should, we don't challenge or inspire each other. I think we both deserve something more than just this arrangement." Her words carried a finality that settled in my stomach like a weight. The worst part? She truly believed what she was saying. She had convinced herself that this was just some logical conclusion, that whatever we had built over the years had been reduced to nothing more than a functional parenting partnership. I let out a slow breath, gripping the counter. "So that's it? That's how you see me? Just the father of your children and nothing else?" She shrugged. "I don't want to hurt you, but I also don't want to pretend anymore." Pretend? The realization hit harder than I expected. All the moments we had shared, the late night talks, the vacations, the quiet mornings drinking coffee together, had they all been an act to her? Had she been going through the motions, waiting for the right moment to let me know I was nothing more than an obligation in her life? I wanted to argue, to make her see how wrong she was, but something held me back. Maybe it was the way she stood there completely sure of herself. Maybe it was the way she had spoken as if this was just a casual conversation about something trivial. There was no remorse, no guilt, no sign that this decision had cost her anything at all. The air in the room felt thick, pressing down on me, but I refused to let her see how deep the knife had gone. "Good to know," I finally said, my voice steady. "At least now we're being honest." Something flickered across her face, surprise maybe, as if she had expected resistance, a desperate plea to change her mind. But that wasn't going to happen. I turned and walked out of the kitchen, my mind already shifting. If this was how she saw me, then I would make sure she felt the same. I walked out of the kitchen without looking back, but my mind wasn't quiet. Her words kept repeating in my head like a broken record, refusing to fade into the background. "You're nothing more than a co-parent to me." That wasn't something she had just realized in the moment. No, this had been sitting inside her for a long time, maybe months, maybe years. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't some sudden epiphany for her. This was just the first time she had decided to say it out loud, and that made me wonder, how long had I been blind to it? That night I barely slept. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, rewinding every interaction we had over the past few years, searching for the signs that should have warned me, and they were there, clear as day. I thought back to how she used to be, the way she'd light up when I walked into a room, the way she'd randomly send me texts during the day, little things, inside jokes, things that made her laugh, songs she heard that reminded her of me. At some point, that stopped. I couldn't even remember the last time she had reached out first. When had I become someone she only talked to when she had to? The way she used to touch me had changed too. It was subtle, but I could see it now. Before, there had been warmth, a hand on my arm in passing, a knee resting against mine under the dinner table, kisses that weren't just routine. Lately, nothing. Her hugs felt more like habit than affection. The way she kissed me, when she even bothered, was just muscle memory. And when was the last time she had looked at me with any kind of admiration? Any kind of desire? I thought back to conversations we'd had, or the ones we hadn't had. She used to ask me about my day, really ask, not just in the automatic, polite way people do, but in a way that made me feel like she actually cared. At some point, that had stopped too. She still asked, but it was different now, forced, empty, and when I tried to share things with her, things I was excited about, she'd nod along distractedly, waiting for me to finish rather than actually engaging. Then there were the moments when I'd catch her really smiling, genuine, effortless smiles. Lately, those smiles weren't for me, they were for her friends, for people she met at work, for anyone except the man she had once promised to love. Had I noticed all of this before? Yes, but I had ignored it. I had told myself she was just stressed, tired, busy with life. I had made excuses for why the woman I married felt so distant, because the alternative, accepting that she just didn't feel the same way about me anymore, was too painful to face. But now I couldn't ignore it anymore. Everything clicked into place. She hadn't fallen out of love overnight. She had just stopped seeing me as someone who mattered beyond our kids. I was a necessity, a functional part of her life, not a partner. And the truth? She had been showing me that for a long time. I just hadn't wanted to see it. If she saw me as nothing more than a co-parent, Then that's exactly what I would be, nothing more, nothing less, no arguments, no emotional pleas, no attempts to fix something that was clearly already broken. I wouldn't waste my energy trying to prove my worth to someone who had already decided I was insignificant. That morning I got up before she did. I made breakfast for the kids, packed their lunches, and got them ready for the day without saying much. She came downstairs, still in her robe, and gave me a quick glance before pouring herself a cup of coffee. Usually I'd at least try to make conversation, ask her if she slept well, comment on the day ahead. This time I didn't bother. I didn't even acknowledge her, and she noticed. It was subtle at first. She glanced at me a few times like she was expecting something. Maybe she thought I was upset, that I was silently brooding, but I wasn't. I was just done.